We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is PCar Talk.
Hey, welcome to another PCar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And we want to thank JRZ because they're amazing.
Yep.
But honestly, like, they
things.
really are. Suspension engineering. If you're watching the show, look at that. Posted on the stoplights and the reflector.
Yep.
I was wearing it on my forehead. Aaron said that probably a bad move for future sponsorship. I totally agree with him. But in all seriousness, they're building my suspension for the Turbo S. They build suspension for on-road, off-road, you name it. They do the best. And honestly, from everywhere we talk to, because we're in the enthusiast grassroots area,
yep,
they're probably the go-to for all of these historic racing, club racing. You know it. Predominantly, they own that area, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, they do customizable stuff. So you're like, oh, well, I have like a one-off car and I'm like a super enthusiast about a RX-7
yep,
or whatever.
Well, let's give you some context. So Chris, who works at JRZ, has a 914.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got three-way suspension on his.
914.
And it's super dialed in. And that's
and we know how Aaron feels about 914s.
Yeah, I love them. They're my favorite.
The best.
But that's the thing. So it doesn't matter what you have. It's still adjustable, still customizable to fit you.
And I think that's kind of like what's really badass about JRZ, because it's not on the shelf, it's made to order type stuff. Mm-hmm. So like there's mixed feelings about that kind of thing, like where there's some people are like, well, I just want to order and I want to hear right away. Pump the brakes if you're one of those people. Like, it's nice to have something that's custom made and custom tuned for your particular car.
Yeah.
If you need suspension yesterday, maybe you should have ordered the damn thing 3 months ago.
Well, it comes down to, do you want something for you or do you want something for somebody else?
Well, just be a responsible adult. Like, don't wait till the
time.
last minute to order something, right? Yeah. Like, give them some time to make some stuff. Don't be a clown.
Yeah.
If
order JRZ.
If you need it in 3 to 4 months, place your order then. Don't wait 4 months and be like, oh, well, I'm going to order it now and hopefully they can, like, speed order my stuff. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Come on. Like, let's be real. Like,
That's true.
This is a boutique company.
Treated as such.
And you're getting a boutique suspension. So I think
Speaking of boutique, membership.
Boom.
100. That's not 100 left.
Knocking on heaven's door.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're knocking on it right now.
I think we have like 8 left, maybe 7 left. For the membership.
And just about, like, ironically, about 7 left for the trip in September, too.
There's only 5 months left. If you think that's time, it's not.
And we're not just talking the talk, but I mean, like, the 23 cars were like, we ran through this at lunch today. Actual
it's pretty strong.
Monster firepower.
Yeah. GT cars. At least half.
Probably, what, 10 GT cars?
Yeah.
Between GT3 and GT3RS is mixed. Probably another 6 or 7 turbo cars or turbo S's.
Yep.
And then the rest are like other high-powered Carrera S's, air-cooled high-powered stuff. It's going to be a phenomenal trip, and we have a ton more giveaways. I want to say we talked about, like, what, 8 or 9 to 10 things that we're giving away for a group of, what, 25 drivers at the moment, or 24 drivers or something like that. Yep. So, I mean, do the math on that. You got a 1 in 2 chance to win. Yeah. Like, you
something's happening.
Get pretty good odds, and you can't be a repeat winner. So, like, once you win, you're out of the running. But needless to say, what Aaron's getting at is, go to pcartalk.com if you want to become a PCar Club member. We really appreciate everyone that has become a member. It's outstanding. I'm going to run through that while Aaron jibber-jabbers a little bit about...
A couple people. We got some new people.
Yeah, we do have a new list, and there's some new stuff out there. So let's go ahead and thank the members.
We have new shirts out there, too. So check that out.
Talk about those shirts while I pull this up.
So I decided that we needed new shirts. So we did that. So we did some neon effects, kind of like we did in the past with the 80s logo, and now we have the 964 in neon, and then we have the Safari, which I'm still finishing up in neon. And it'll be on the store soon, probably as soon as you hear this.
Yeah. So new members: Darren F, Cecil S, Theory R. Thank you guys so much for joining the club.
Thank you.
Some of you guys have reached out to me personally. Long overdue. We appreciate it regardless of even if it's long overdue. Renewals. Chris O, you know who you are. David B, big thank you on that. I have one more to pull from Aaron's text messages, which is also a new member.
And if you haven't received your card yet, so if you're an RS member, the metal card, we just ordered a new stock of them. So there's a new stock, and they're being pressed as we speak. So it takes a little bit for that stuff to happen.
They're getting stamped. Yeah. So, like, don't think we forgot about you. They're coming. Like, we're just waiting on them ourselves. And also new member, Bill D. We really appreciate all the new members, and we appreciate the renewals just as much. Because you guys are the ones that make us tick.
Keeping it going.
And honestly, like, we cannot wait till we get to that Elite 100. And year 2, I mean, we're shaping up pretty good on the drive. I mean, even if we max out, and we're going to close it off pretty soon.
Yeah, I think July 1st is going to be our close.
Yeah, we're not trying to be like FOMO, you guys. If you can make it, you can make it. If you're one of those people that tries to plan to the last minute, we have a lot of friends like that. Hey, get your life together, figure it out. Like,
you might plan it, but you might not be staying near us.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry about your luck. Hey, if you lived your life all that way, hey, you're that guy that's always coming into class late. You're always coming into work late. We get it. We have friends like that. Hey, I'm just trying to better your life. Tighten your shit up. Tighten your shit up. You know, you can plan this. They're like, oh, bro, that's I don't even know what I'm doing next weekend. Oh, yeah, you're that cool, like, surfer, like, you're on the beach guy. You're that guy. You don't know what's going on? I bet you do, but you're trying to play it out. Get your shit together. Anyways, so, pretty wild. Everybody's been discussing it. The new GT3 992, everybody's been... If you haven't paid attention recently,
it's
I think we're recording this on Wednesday, which is, so you'll listen to this tomorrow. Yep. Major hit. Every major syndicate on YouTube has done, like, Top Gear, Carfection, all these places have got a hold of this damn car, and they've done all of these things, and we already know it's great. I'm not here to talk about that car. What I'm here to talk about is the GT3RS has been spied at the Nürburgring already.
Let's go RS. Why do we need to do GT3?
Yeah, exactly. We already know what that brings to the table.
Yep.
So the interesting thing about the GT3RS, it's literally, minus the front flares and the rear flares, looks exactly like an RSR. Because the wing on the RSR is on the GT3RS on the street car. As we known from the past, lots of people have talked about it. It's a topic for many, many discussions where they're like, oh, well, it's the most race car-y street car in the world. This thing puts all of those to bed.
I think it's just race car. I think
this is basically a race car that maybe they made street legal, like, essentially.
I think it's the closest.
And this, literally, I'm not saying that because I'm not a shopper for it. I'm not a buyer. Aaron's not a buyer for this car. We're not being paid by Porsche. But if the GT3 is bringing double wishbone, they're bringing the RSR oil coolers onto that, to the GT3, and all these other things, what the hell is the RS going to be?
Yeah, that's got to be that much better.
I mean, seriously, because
you're going to pay for it, for sure.
You're deep in the 200s on this car all day long. And it has the hood from the RSR on it too, as well.
So you got the
I mean, you have the rear wing. You have the basically all you're missing is a side skirts, essentially. Yeah. Like, and who knows? That may be pretty close to that once it comes out. Because granted, this is just the spied version on the ring, and we already know how the spied version worked for the first GT3. They went out of their way, coming from Andy's words,
to make it ugly.
To make people get pissed off about it. So don't expect anything less from that. And then when this thing comes out where people are losing their minds over it, your thoughts on the way this thing looks? Is it too out of control? Is it too outside of Porsche? Is this too much Lambo? Is this too much, like, in your face?
The GT3 already looks pretty aggressive. So I can't imagine... I expect the RS version to be that much more. It needs to bring it.
It has to be.
Has to be. Otherwise,
but do you think this is over the top even for Porsche, though?
I think they almost need to be to stand out from what they normally do.
Yeah.
I think they're finally to the realization of what they've always wanted to create, which is literally the race car without the decals. For the street.
It's just a little less wide. Like I said, it's missing the rear flares and the front flares. But I mean, minus that.
You're not going to be on hours for the motor. But
yeah, minus that, I mean, it's pretty damn close. Yeah. I mean, put some sound deadening in it, some air conditioner in an RSR. Like, that's what this thing essentially is.
Yeah. And maybe not even that. I mean, because there's still lightweight glass for the GT3, so there's probably lightweight glass for the RS.
So going back to Chris Harris, which has his own podcast and also was on Top Gear, he recently had a lot of time with a GT3, the 992, and he openly admitted, which same with us being in the media and being reporters in a sense, you know, obviously not at his level. I'm not trying to compare that, but he openly admitted saying that 992 GT3 as a road car on a challenging like pavement, meaning what I mean by that is there's the bumps and there's all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit squirrely. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. However, he also said all other GT3s behave very similar in those type of road conditions. They're made for flat tarmac. With that being said, where I'm going with this is if the standard GT3, which is supposed to be the softer version of the RS, the guys who buy an RS as a flex and think they're going to do something and they go to their weak-ass cars and coffee or whatever the hell they go to, if they buy this thing and they putz around on the street, are they going to get their backs broken? It's going
to be too much. That might be, but I think that's always been the case, though, with the RS model.
Well, I mean, multiple people, like we've driven RSs on the street and it's fine. Like 991s and .2s versions, they're fine. But apparently, like this one is supposed to be worse. But it's a race car that street, it has a VIN for the street. Let's put it that way.
It's as closest to a cup car as we're going to say. Yeah.
I think that's super rad. I think there'll be a lot of people that'll have a problem with this thing. You know, they'll buy it because it's they can afford it and they're baller and they have the bank account to afford it, but they'll get out there and then they're like, holy shit, like this thing is
was too much business.
This thing's a nightmare to drive. I want the touring or whatever. They want something softer.
That may be a good camp to fall into is the touring with adjustability in there. I mean, if you're going GT car, you have to expect some type of non-comfort. If you need comfort, then you do Turbo S.
Well, I think if you're looking for comfort, you shouldn't even be in the GT route.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Turbo S. That's where you should.
Because we know that. Like, turbo cars are all the power in the world, great handling, and they're comfortable.
Well, more power. You're even getting more power than the GT car.
But so many people are caught up in this riptide of GT cars, including myself. I'll throw myself on the coals, and you. I'll throw both of us on it. Like, but we do drive GT style. Like we will sacrifice.
You can have air conditioned seats and 700 horsepower.
Yeah, we'll sacrifice the pain to drive a GT car in the mountains, even if it takes me a brutal 7 hours of getting my ass whipped to get up there from Florida. I'm okay with that. But I think the difference is like the, I don't know, 50 plus crowd or 60 plus crowd that can afford this GT3 RS that you and I can't. They may get this thing, and even driving to their cars and coffee at the local place to get like donuts and coffee may be too treacherous for them still. That's just, I'm being real. But I also appreciate how badass this thing is.
Yeah, I like the links they're going to, that Porsche is really going to fit the track day person. I mean, that's what they're going for. That's what the car's meant to be.
Yeah, and a close friend of ours have owned all types of GT cars, like RSs, even GT3s, they say, and they're a little bit older than us, and they've told us, they're like, look, if you're looking for a GT car and you can afford it, like no matter what money you have, if you're looking for a street GT car, buy the GT3, not the RS, because the GT3 is supposed to be the little bit more comfortable model than the RS. But people chase that RS because it has those two little letters on the end that drive up the price, and everybody's worried about resale, and so they're essentially like they're leasees. They're not buying
long-term.
They're not buying this thing because they're trying to marry her. They're trying to take her out for a couple years, live that life.
Trophy wife.
Trophy wife it for good point. Trophy wife it, take her to the beach, take her on vacay, take her on a couple of these things, flex a little bit, sell her, and then like everybody's like, oh bro, like that guy had a like PTS GT3RS with the freaking ultraviolet seats, and he's balling, he's all this thing, and next thing you know, he's out of the game.
Mike hasn't been on the configurator.
Don't be that guy. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a dreamer. Shit, I'm out there looking at that thing. I'm like, man, what if I marry me a sugar mama? Who knows what happens right now? Like, I might be out there. I might be in the nursing homes out there chicken winging it with some of these girls. Like, what's up, girl? But anyways, so that's been spied. I mean, is this no shock to you? Porsche's the king. The king, like, so as we speak today, GT3's dropping on all of the popular YouTubers, whatever, like getting all that flex out. And then they allow the RS on the same day to be spied by all these other places.
Not planned.
Marketing in that department, take notes if you own a company, how to market like these guys, because they are literally crushing it.
So money no object. Are you just going to RS?
You mean for new cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? If I'm money no object, I'm buying a GT3 to drive until I get an RS. Like, and I'm sure there's a couple people.
I'm sure that's the plan for most people.
The two or three people that listen to us that are like, that have that kind of flex, they're probably doing that already. They already have an allocation for a GT3. And guess what happens?
Yep.
Because we know how the game works.
They PTS'd
when they want,
they sold it.
Yeah, and they want an allocation for a GT3 RS. When that allocation pops up, guess what? They trade the GT3 PTS into the dealership so they have inventory and they get the pat on the ass so they can get the RS.
Yep.
That's how this works. If you're listening and you don't know the game because you're not shopping that's how this shit works. And it's actually a really ugly game, unfortunately, that these dealerships carry on. And shame on them for doing that.
But they only get so many allocations, and there's different ways.
But fuck that, man. Like, that's still messed up to like do people like that, man. Like, if you're a loyal buyer and they're like, okay, you have to trade our car to us so I can give you an allocation. I mean, they're strawmanning their so-called loyal clients. So you're loyal to them and you've bought 1 million cars and you can still get an allocation. And these people are being brainwashed because they're like, oh yeah, I'm one of the select 8 people out of this dealership, out of all of this populace that I get one. Dude, you're getting duped, man, because like they're flexing you. They're pimping your ass to like, you bought the new car and they're making you bring it back to them so you can get a new allocation so they can resell your car probably higher than market value, even though you have miles on it. And
you don't care because you're already
out.
Car.
And now you're at like without a GT car, but you may have some older ones, but like newer GT car, because you're waiting for the new one to come in.
Yeah,
because
the Focus
you're following their model of a flex. And that's just, it sucks because it's a world, unfortunately. There's too many assholes that have too much money. Let's put it that way. That's really what it is.
That's business, but yeah.
But let's keep it real. All the OGs buy air-cooled shit. Like, going back to Aaron, like, who knows? He's not an OG, so, like, whatever.
I know,
like,
one day.
Yeah, and here we are, like, revisiting this bullshit, right? Like, all right. So let's move on from that. Like, I know that's an uncomfortable topic for him, but, like, he's shopping something.
I'm shopping.
Yeah, he's shopping. Hey, like I always said to my friend earlier, Aaron talks about moving to St. Pete, talks about buying air-cool. This motherfucker does a lot of talking. But I don't see any motherfucking action. A lot of talking, no action.
We'll see it.
Your boy Mike is an action guy.
That's true.
All right, moving on to the next topic. 992 Turbo S. We all know it's a baller car. We all know it's like decimating cars on the market. Much more expensive than it. There's a 20-year anniversary special coming out for the Chinese market only. I repeat that. Chinese market only. The reason why is because they're celebrating 20 years of selling Porsches in China.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was wondering, I was like, how does it make the Turbo S? They had to be
they've been making them longer, obviously, clearly. Like, it's 2021. Like, they've been making Turbo S's longer.
So they opened up the Chinese market.
But, so they're giving them a special pat on the ass, say, hey, we're going to celebrate this. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, there's only 5 colors they're only allowing the Chinese market to buy in these special colors, and they're all sick.
They're fire, yeah. That's from what I'm seeing. So we got
they're sick.
Yeah,
like
Oslo
you
Blue.
Name them out.
Yeah, we got Oslo Blue, we got Gulf Orange, we got Ruby Star, Mint Green, and then Viola Purple.
All badass colors.
Yeah, all colors you're looking for in 964s right now.
Way to flex on China. Hey, you want a 20th anniversary? You're getting a badass car. You don't get to pick a black one or a silver one. Like, those are all sick colors.
And so now if you're not getting one brand new, this is the time to keep track or like somehow keep track of them while they're out there, like everybody was doing for the Japanese market back in the 90s.
Yeah. So if you're 25 years old and you're an emerging market and you're going to take over mommy and daddy's business, or you're like a flex, then you're going to make a lot of money someday. Put this on your radar.
Tabs. Because
someday one of these Turbo S's that's going to Japan, it's a 25th anniversary.
China.
And sorry. Jeez.
But you're same track.
China. Of these colors I just said, like, who knows? And then it gets even deeper, right? Like, who knows after these are sold? Then you'll get the real demographics of like, okay, they only sold 100 mint green ones. They only sold like 70 Ruby Star Reds ones, like whatever.
I think Ruby Stone will probably be the least amount, mint green, and then orange and Gulf Blue will be probably the
Oslo Blue will probably be one of the top sellers because that's the most like least offensive color. Viola will be probably low. So make a note. I mean, sometimes you got to strategize. You know, it's not checkers, it's chess. So you got to think about this long term. Hey, when these cars come available in the U.S. again someday, and some people will say, oh, well, there was a PTS in that color. Well, they only made so many PTS Turbo S's, and we've seen them.
What else did they order, too? What are the other options at this? So, I mean, look for the good stuff.
I haven't seen a PTS, and I follow that IG Instagram PTS RS when they were posting every Turbo S that was PTS coming in.
And that's pretty much the most unique thing.
I haven't seen a mint green one yet.
No.
I haven't seen a Ruby Star one yet.
They probably haven't allowed it.
Yeah. These colors might be reserved for that market. Yeah. I know there's probably a lot of people saying like, oh, that's bullshit. Why are they getting that? Why don't we get that? And I want to ask you, do you think this is kind of cool that Porsche, like, they've been selling cars for 20 years, which is actually pretty, like, junior.
Yeah, it's a good chunk, though.
I know, but they've been selling cars in the U.S. since the 50s. So, and we get our fair share of special unique cars, all this jibber jabber, whatever. Do you feel it's kind of cool that they do this for specific countries once they've entered and they say, hey, we want to give you a tip of the cap. We want to give you something cool. Hey, this is for you guys. Do you think this is rad, or do you think this is kind of BS?
I think it's cool. I think that shows them they're paying tribute to the people that are spending money with them.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know that are listeners, China's a really big market for Porsche.
That's a big market for anybody, but especially for them. I mean, especially being new into the industry.
They sell a ton of SUVs there. They sell a ton, like all of their high end stuff is sold. And I know, like, we've, not to go too far off topic, but we've talked about this a lot in the past where Porsche kind of have made a long body Panamera for the China market, because a lot of Chinese people, like we've talked about it before, a status of class is to be driven, not drive your own car. So Porsche has specifically is selling those type of Panameras to that market, unlike American market where we're just like, hey,
do you think
I'm going to buy a Rolls and I'm going to drive it, and they're like, that's not what that car was made for.
Do you think there'll be like a long wheelbase Taycan with extra batteries for extra length?
Anything is possible at this point, man.
That's a good call. So if you're not making that Porsche, go ahead.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's do that.
We'll get some buy-in on that, right? Probably not. But I think it's super rad. Keep your eye on that. I think there's a couple really, really badass colors there. I know it's a long way out. And
would you do any compliments? Like, would you do a special stitching with those colors, or would you do
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, if you're already going that extreme, like,
might as well just compliment them.
Make it nuts.
Yeah.
Right. But keep your eyes out for that car. Hell knows? Like, you might be able to import them. Actually,
that's the other thing too.
You might be able to import this car, because if it's left-hand drive and it has the same safety standards of the U.S., just because it was sold over there doesn't necessarily mean you need to wait 25 years.
Yep. I don't know what the Chinese market is.
So I mean, if it meets all of our safety standards, and you're one of those guys who wants one of these, or gals, so have fun.
So speaking of safety standards, and then kind of rewinding back a little bit to the GT3s and GT3RSs, I know that the new GT3s have the lightweight glass. Do you think we're going to get the lightweight glass? Or do you think
we never will, because it won't pass our... Like, that's why we don't get plexi.
Okay. That's what I thought. So
we never get those cars that have plexi.
So any of the weight savings.
That's why our cars can't be delivered with the Club Sport package, which means if you don't know what the Club Sport package is, it's the half cage is all it is.
Half cage and some
like you can buy it that way, and then the dealer will install it. That's the workaround
the cage,
behind
but
it.
Not the glass. Yeah.
Exactly, but it will not come with that lightweight glass. Unless it's a Euro delivered car, and then you are waiting that 25-year period. So, or unless you're Canadian, then you're waiting 15 years. So
there you go. There's your spot, Canadian, then U.S.
Yeah, marry a Canadian girl, get dual citizenship just to do it. Hey, take one for the team.
Take one.
You got to do what you got to do. Hey, there's gorgeous girls up there. Like, I'm not going to hate. Like, there's tons of gorgeous girls. It's cold, but hey, whatever. If you're a baller, you can come back and forth. It's all good. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk about some badass stuff coming up.
Yep. Let's do it.
Thank you guys listening to PCar Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment. We really appreciate that. Now back to the show. We're back from break. So, I've seen a lot of concepts. Everybody screws around with this a lot. But maybe this is the one.
It's a lot of digital artists
that we're going to see, yeah. But I mean, Porsche pays for this stuff. This isn't just some like bullshit like where people make this up. These guys are commissioned. So they made a 920 rendering successor of the 918. It's just a digital concept. Porsche hasn't confirmed they're doing this. Like they love doing this because it doesn't cost them a lot.
And it just teases stuff. And
it's a teaser. It's a talking point. Yeah. It's doing exactly what we're doing with it. And this is exactly what they
about.
Yeah. It looks badass. So essentially, obviously, this is if you're listening just on the audio side, go ahead and look this up. 920 Porsche. It looks like a hypercar. It basically looks like a 918 had a baby with a Taycan.
Okay.
And it's still a two-door.
They're looking in the future then. Yep.
Yeah, it's a two-door, so it has Taycan headlights.
Oh, which is good.
Which is pretty rad. But this thing looks... It has kind of a 918 rear end. That's why I say these two have merged.
Yeah. Does it talk about motor?
It's like a Liger.
A Liger.
If you can imagine that.
Yeah.
As Napoleon would say, it's the Liger. It's the best.
Yeah.
It looks pretty rad. It looks pretty radical. Will they make it? Yet to be determined.
And even a render that Porsche would make still never really comes out to
of course
what they will make.
Yeah. And Porsche has teased us many times, even just more recently with all of the concepts, even more so because they actually made some type of concept in where they showed it.
Well, even when we saw the Mission E, for example, back in Miami, when we saw that, we're like, whoa. This is unbelievable. And then the Taycan showed up, and it's like, it's close.
Mm-hmm. Are we as Porsche people? Granted, very few of us are in a position to be a purchaser in the hypercar, and I'd be willing to say almost no one that listens to us is a hypercar candidate that's on that list. If I'm wrong, email us, please.
Yeah,
however, do you feel that we are, as Porsche enthusiasts and everybody that's listening, overdue for a halo type of car?
Yeah, 918's been out for a while. For a long time. I mean, even after LaFerrari and everything else that came out.
Yeah.
It's about time, especially if they want to show something new technology-wise. With their e-fuels, it's about time for something to run on that or be so radical that Elon can't, touch it.
I feel we are as well. I feel that Porsche...
I think it might be all EV, though. I think that might...
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think it'll still live on that hybrid 918 type of deal.
Okay.
I don't think Porsche would be radical enough to make an EV just for their hypercar.
The only reason I would say it might be the all EV is because they can get away with the 25, 50 people that are going to buy this car.
Maybe, but like the problem with that is just the range. Like even with even if you want to rewind back to Tesla, the performance thing, like it doesn't matter. Like the thing gets like like on super safe mode, it might get what 200 miles, but when you go balls out, it gets 50. Like that's just it's so fake mileage. It's ridiculous.
But would it matter at that level though? That's the other question, because if it's
your
like 100th car,
I think it would, because there's plenty of people that have stupid money
cares?
that take like Pagani Huayras on these like flex rallies and all that kind of stuff. Like this car won't doesn't fit in for that stuff.
Mike might have Pagani, but he might not.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I wish. I wouldn't be talking on here if I had a Pagani. I'll tell you that much. I'd be talking to a different crowd of people. No, I'm just kidding.
Pagani talk.
Yeah,
Coming soon.
No. I wouldn't own one of those cars because they're automated. Anyway,
it's too Mercedes for him.
It is. But in all seriousness, I don't think it'll be all EV. I think at most, if you want to not say it's all
but
combustion.
It's their flagship. That's the only reason I think they might try to go full electric, because they want eventually their entire.
I mean, it is radical. Porsche is into doing like radical shit. Mm-hmm. Like they are into. Like when you produce something where people are like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, telling you your 920 is all electric.
Like look down the line of like, and I'm not even saying from a combustion. Like I'm just saying like from concept, like a design concept, where like when the 959 came out, it was light years ahead of stuff it came out. I mean, it is entirely possible that they could come out with something like that and like totally flip the hypercar world on their ear and say, "Hey, here." I'm not saying that's out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's out. I mean, maybe that's possible. Either way, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not a buyer. 99% of our people probably aren't buyers for this thing. But going back to the original question, I think we are long overdue for a Porsche hypercar.
It's time.
And with Porsche, when they do come out with a hypercar, it is pretty radical. So that alone, I'm excited just to see it do its grand tour around the world.
Do you think it's launched in silver? Or is it going to start in this blue stuff? I feel like blue feels.
I feel like gentian blue is the whole like launch color.
Gentian blue, shark blue. It's a blue type of air.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they go radical and go red or something. Who knows? But I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see something in the next 2 to 3. I mean, we've talked about it and we harp on it and we beat on this drum.
19's been about a while.
We talk about this LMDH series, this hypercar series that Porsche's already committed to. There's going to be something. Whether it's going to be a hybrid car, well, it's a full EV, like Aaron may say. Like, who knows what it's going to be? Maybe is it going to be a last? Maybe they'll go rewind and say instead of like leap forward, we're forced in. Maybe say like we're going to make the last naturally aspirated badass car we can ever make because this is it. Because we know the next time we make a hypercar, we cannot do this. And they may just go nuts out.
What if they do another V10? Nobody's...
Screw that. What if they make a V12 like the 917 and they're like, look, we never made a V12 road car. You're getting one. You 100 billionaires in the world that cockfight over each other, go for it. All of the enthusiasts will just jerk off and watch the thing like when we go to like events because that's all it's going to happen.
917 concept turned to reality.
Yeah, and like put it as a road car. I mean, that would be the ultimate flex. I hope there one person in the world that is listening within Porsche that is like, please channel that up through Porsche. How sick would that be? Because pretty much Pagani and all these other places like Koenigsegg, like all those places do these like exclusive V12, Lamborghini V12, all this stuff. How sick would it be for Porsche to do a V12?
Yeah, 512
for the street. Like we know they've built the car before, we know they've raced the car, but they've never made a V12 street car.
Yeah,
that would be insane. Because why not seize that opportunity while they can before they get basically
hybrid or full EV
before they get EPA'd out of the opportunity to do it. Why not now? This is almost kind of like the last hurrah of that before they have to go, that's it. It's full EV, maybe like Aaron said. Don't go in early and try to like, hey, we're ahead of the market. Look at us. Screw all that. Go old school. I think people would go nuts for that. Absolutely nuts. I mean, your thoughts on that?
I agree. That's what happened. I mean, because you don't.
I mean, okay, so let's stack these two up. So you said EV, and this isn't like a shot against you, but like let's just take these two. You have an NA V12, flat 12, and then you have an EV. These are your two, like as you're in the brainstorming boardroom, like we can imagine we're a fly on the wall, and they're sitting in there and they're doing all this shit, and all these people behind it. Both of the cars are going to sell out. There's no, because they're going to make so few of them. So let's cut the shit. Like that's going to happen. But I think from a legendary standpoint, which Porsche loves doing legendary shit
on the motorsport side with a real motor.
Exactly, because that EV will just, the waves will roll right over it. And because we'll be in an EV market anyways. So it won't matter. Like eventually we're going to be in an EV market. So nobody's going to say like, that's the baddest EV, bro. No one's going to say shit like that.
That's the new Porsche, whatever it is.
No one's going to say that. They're going to be like, bro, that was the last NA V12. Actually, the first NA V12
first and last
from Porsche that they made, and it was a fucking manual on top of it. Dude, they literally flipped the market on its head. Like that kind of revolutionary shit, like is what Porsche is known for. And I would hope like something like that would come out of them, like something at a total left field, like you would never see it. They're like, what the hell is this? Like, no one ever saw this coming.
Well, and that and with a small number, so they might be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people would pay $3 million, $10 million over MSRP for something like that.
And when they do, thank you, Porsche.
And I think you can still, like, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I mean, prime example, okay, yeah, Porsche's a major manufacturer. Okay, so Lamborghini's considered that as well, and they're making a V12. So why couldn't Porsche make a V12?
Yep.
And like to one up Lamborghini, make it a fucking manual. And then really fucking light people on fire to be like, bro, like you want to talk about lust? Like serious lust?
Gated.
Yeah, gated manual V12 mid-engine in a newer hypercar Porsche. You
Reliability.
You want to talk about people dying in the street over something? Like that's happening.
Yep.
They're like, look, I'm taking your wealth.
50 to 100.
Yeah, crossbow style to the heart. Game
PTS
over.
Colors.
Yeah, I'm taking everything you got right now for that car. Let's do this.
Click. That'd be some good noises.
Next level.
Yeah.
Like so like I'm
on
the flip. You're welcome. Bring me in there.
Yep. Mike's in there.
Go retro instead of modern. Because they're so okay, you got the Taycan, you got all this, like you gotta be stop, pump the brakes for a second and do that. Like literally the car market will actually stop. Because they'll be like, holy shit. This just happened. Because no one's making that. I mean, Lamborghini's still making NAs, kudos on them, but all their stuff is paddle. Dude, you throw a manual on top of that, game over.
All I can think about right now is, I don't know if you've looked at all those press releases for the GT3s, but the PDK that looks manual, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. But yeah.
I'm okay with that. It's better than the like Bic Razor thing, like whatever they got going on. But
anyways, V12. Manual gated. Make it Porsche.
You're welcome, Porsche. Somebody more powerful than us, please channel that to them.
Make 10 of them.
Make money off of what we just said. It's not a novel concept, but like somebody with power say something. Like seriously.
Would there be any like launch color for that for you?
Screw that. You get anything you want at that level. Anything you want. Like how baller would that be? Like whatever you want.
Yep.
You want it chartreuse? Happening.
Yep. Cassis, here
whatever,
we go.
You got it.
Yep.
It's happening. Like, because you make so few of them, like, whatever you want. Almost like the boutique market. Anyways, so that's, hey, look at that. So let's circle back to the Mezzo market is this weekend. Also, the St. Pete Grand Prix is happening this weekend.
Indy cars.
Yeah. So we're participating in that. We're working with Intermezzo and Green Bench. We're showing up with a bunch of cars that we have used tons of resources to make happen. If you're in a 100-mile radius, which includes Orlando, Sarasota, Fort Myers, anything north of us, where Aaron lives, like Gainesville, whatever.
Where Aaron lives. North Florida.
Yeah.
6 hours away.
Yeah, Destin, you're in. But you should come down. It's from 11 to 4 on Saturday. It's going to be in St. Petersburg.
The parking's on your own type deal because we have stuff that's reserved that we've.
Yeah, it's closed off parking for the show stuff, and then there's a market down there. So bring the wife, bring the girlfriend, or bring both if they get along, whatever. Yeah. So it is nothing to miss. So you'll see that, and you can watch some Grand Prix stuff going on. Yep. It's a great weekend. One of the few places in the U.S. that you can watch IndyCar in a city. Yeah. Long Beach is one of them. You know, there isn't very many cities where you can watch road racing happen within a city. And fortunately, you know, we live here in St. Petersburg, and yes, we're going to say like it's great because we live here, but it really is great. So
you got Indy, you got Mazda Indy racing.
Yeah, there's Cup racing stuff,
and then you have the Carrera Cup, I think, or something.
Yeah, and I think it just snowed in the Midwest yesterday. So if you're like in one of those shithole places, sorry for saying it's shithole, but you know you live there. Come on, like I don't have to like reiterate and beat you up on it. Pop down, take a $400 flight round trip. Stay, you know, in
Spirit Airlines.
Stay in it, stay in an Airbnb, you know, or rent a hotel and come to the race. Come see this. We don't get any money if you come. It's free, so there's no entry point. But I'm just trying to help you out to have a better life, other than just like staying in some, you know, freezing cold basement or garage where you think you're doing something. Like come down and get a sunburn and hang out and have some drinks.
Yeah.
So
sunburn. That's
what's happening this weekend. As you listen to this on our Friday, it's not too late. Like you can still pop a flight tomorrow morning. Come down here. Races Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The main race is happening. Fly your ass home after the race, or hang out for a day or two and enjoy the beach. You know, bring your special person. They'll love you to the day, you know, to the day's end.
That's a good spot.
So, on talk about races.
Yep.
2022. Granted, we're a Porsche podcast. However, we are race fans. If you haven't been paying attention, you should start paying attention. F1 is starting to put a bigger footprint in the U.S. We already know that Austin, they have a race every year there. However, Miami has just got approved. They're having an F1 race in Miami now.
Which is crazy because I think we talked about this. Not F1, but I think we talked about a race in general. I don't remember which race it was, but I was like, man, it'd be great if they
I think we were just talking about a road race, even.
Yeah,
just like a Porsche road race, like IMSA style type stuff. Like, how dope would that be?
I saw something that they had, I think it was 80, it was in the 80s. I saw something from Miami, a poster. Yeah. Where they had a race, and I was like, man, that'd be cool to have something in Miami. And then all of a sudden, F1 drops this.
So sick. So
if we're going to be there. So.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, and if, what other reason, like, granted,
it's Miami.
If you're not into like wanting to hang out, you don't like the vibe of Miami, but if you like F1, not a better reason to come down to do a little vacay and watch F1. And then on top of that, it's actually a F1 street race, like Monaco style. Yeah. So this isn't like a set like racetrack like Homestead where they have to go race there. These guys are going to be racing in the city. So it's essentially a mini Monaco in the U.S., which I have a feeling that this will start to turn into that because Miami has the water, there'll be yachts, there's a lot of money, and a lot of people go to Monaco, like live in Miami, so vice versa. Like this will start, and 2022 is the beginning of this. This is just the start.
In case you don't know, if you're in Monaco, you can rent yachts and you can watch the race.
Yeah, you want to be a part of this race because if you're a race fan, this is a do not miss. Yeah. Because Miami's an international airport, so you can fly in from anywhere, whatever place you live at, wherever the world, and fly in and see this race.
So you think it's going to be the equivalent of like the U.S. Monaco?
I think it will.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal. And I think they're going to invest a lot of money in it. And Miami doesn't do anything small. So I anticipate this very first 2022 race to be badass. Yeah. And every year from that, just like Miami fashion, they're going to find a way to try to do better than the year before that. And we like Miami. We have a lot of friends in Miami. I mean, we don't live there, but honestly, like, Miami's a great place to visit.
Pitbull concert.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
whatever. I mean, it's going to be insane. It's going to be rowdy, but, like, if you're not into that kind of thing, maybe don't go. But, like, it's going to be a great time.
Maybe you should.
But it's going to be a great time. If you're a race fan, this is a no-brainer, don't miss.
Yeah, I mean, the only other option, like we said, is Texas right
Yeah.
now. So.
Yeah. And I think the fact that Aaron posted a thing on PCar Talk Instagram, but it was from the Red Bull Racing site. Yeah. The minute this was announced, Red Bull Racing already had like a little promo video.
Yes, they already knew.
Like they're excited.
Yeah.
That cost them money to do that. F1 didn't pay them to do that. They did that on their own. So they're excited to be in Miami.
I'm a Verstappen fan, just in case anybody wanted to know.
Yeah, shocker. But anyways, it's going to be a great time. And I feel very fortunate that we can drive to Miami.
It's not far. Yeah.
And we have friends that we can stay with in Miami. And we can watch this race. So maybe we can spend more money on the tickets than we need to stay on lodging. But if you're going, look us up. You know, it's not Porsche stuff, but we'll be there. And I feel like that was important information to let you guys know. So keep it on your radar.
What'll happen is Porsche will start to join F1 before we get there. That'll happen.
Doubtful, but we'll see. So let's close with something pretty badass for the West Coast people. Super jealous because they always have super cool stuff, right? So Porsche Santa Clarita. I know I said that wrong for all my West Coast people. I'm sorry. Like Clarita. I'm going to roll my R a little bit better. Like my 15 years of Spanish in college and high school didn't work out.
You're off the coast of California anyway. So
but anyhow, they have a badass rare Porsche view. Porsche's under their dealership, like basically in a vault type setup.
That's cool.
Which is really cool. Even more cool about that is it's free to view. So if you go to this Porsche, if you
know about it, then you can ask about it. If you don't know about it, then
so after this, hopefully they have an influx of people, and then they'll like send us a nasty email. So like, let's see if that can happen. But in all seriousness, apparently they have a rotating museum underneath their dealership of cars, of very special cars that are on loan and owned by maybe dealership personnel and all that kind of stuff.
So it sounds like St. Clarita has a curator of sorts.
Kind of. So such things as like a Gamoon they have there down there on display. And all these cars are like on display. Yeah. They have, you know, a 935 Paul Newman's race car down there. I think that's owned by Adam Carolla.
100% owned by Adam Carolla.
However, it's on loan. It's there.
Yep.
They also have RWB down there. So I think where I want to circle to is that they find enough value in an RWB to put it on display in their museum. It
seems like they have a good, whoever's doing the curating or whoever's doing the museum in general is doing a good job of being eclectic and respecting the Porsche. Like, this is a little bit from here.
All areas.
This is a little bit from here. This is some race history here. So, I mean, that even benefits anyone that gets to join and see that exhibit.
Yeah. And if you're
and
it's not that you have to be a buyer for one of those, but I'm sure that Porsche Santa Clarita would appreciate if you bought a car, but they're not going to not let you go look at those cars. So if you're in the vicinity, or maybe you want to take a weekend trip and you're Porsche just to drive up there to see what's there, you are welcome because you have just been informed that they have a badass underground area of cool cars to view for free.
PCar Talk sent you. Let them know.
Yeah, you're welcome. And honestly, like, there's very few dealerships doing this, and I want to say, like, this is like the only
especially
one.
Underground. I don't know any.
Well, I mean, even if it's above ground, I think the most unique thing about this is, like, I'm going to be like totally flat out, and I don't care if I offend anybody on this shit. You know how I work. Honestly, there's a lot of new Porsche buyers that maybe go in there to buy a Macan or whatever the hell they're going to buy, or a Cayenne, and they don't know shit about Porsche.
They don't know the history. Yeah.
The fact that this place has a Cliff Notes tour of what the hell's really going on behind the scenes, and what makes their cars, even if you want to buy run-of-the-mill, which is great, but you need to get a little bit of education before you buy the car. I wish more dealerships did shit like this, because honestly, Like when I see
it's a good marketing.
Like Molly, soccer mom, driving her shit around town and has no idea what the shit she's really driving.
Mike's driving the other Cayenne S right beside her.
Yeah, with freaking straight pipes, like flexing on her, like throttling in as much as I can to like make her uncomfortable while she's listening to like whatever the hell she's listening to.
Well, that's more so just catching up.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go that far, but I was gonna say like, you know, like freaking whatever kids
She's millennium.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Rumpelstiltskin type.
Yeah.
And the wheels on the bus go round and round. Whatever shit that is.
Second album he listens to.
But anyways, I feel even those people, I would almost like if I owned the dealership, but like, great, thank you so much for buying a car. Now you're obligated to take the tour. Like, well, even if it's like a 10-minute tour and they're like, oh, okay, cool, that's a 935. Like, I don't know what the hell that is. But like, this is what birthed your shit.
And it's cool to give somebody an outlook on something they may not know or look for because then they respect what they have.
Yeah. Well, you never know how that's going to resonate with those people either, too, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you bring that education to them, they may say, like, that's badass. Wait a minute, like, Porsche used to make shit like this, too?
I didn't air-cooled, or now
like, I didn't know that. Like, that's super cool. As opposed to, like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, I just care about the Porsche name. You're like, well, why do you care about the Porsche name? Oh, because it's expensive. Like, okay, well, this is where it came from.
It's a luxury brand.
Like, we didn't start making these freaking boxes till, like, now.
Yeah.
Like, this is where it really came from. And I think it's, you know, clearly where I'm going with this is somebody at this place, whether it be the GM, the owner, whoever it is, because it doesn't
Feels
say.
Like education's important.
They felt like two things. Education, I'm with you on that. And second, it's like, look, this is kind of a flex, but it's kind of badass. Like, it's a dealership draw.
Yeah, they're bringing the community in.
I would tell you this. If there was a place in Tampa or St. Petersburg, where we live at, that had anything close to this, I would work with them on a regular basis to actually host a Cars and Coffee at their place just because of what they had in their basement from a heritage standpoint, because they fucking get it.
Yeah, the only other person I could think of, or the only dealership would be in Colorado. That's the only people that do the air-cooled style.
Yeah, Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. It's the only other place I can think of.
Well, that's like one of the few places in the world that I know that they have more than one, when I say inventory, air-cooled cars for sale on a modern lot. And I'm not talking about an independent. I'm talking about an actual Porsche dealership that has air-cooled cars on sale on their lot. And we have said that before. Kudos to them for that.
They're not going to be cheap.
Unpaid.
But they're not going to be run-of-the-mill either.
But the fact that they've got the balls to go that way.
Yeah, I think they're really embracing what Porsche wants to do with the classic era.
Yeah. And I think this other Porsche dealership, they've got it together too. They've got it.
Yeah,
they understand.
I like them better because they're pulling from more.
It's more of an educational thing,
genres.
Right? And I like that it's for free. It's not like, okay, well, you get to see it if you buy a car from us or if you're a customer. It's more like, hey, bro, if you want to see it, like, we got badass cars. Like, that's how we roll. And, like, all you West Coast people, if you haven't been there yet, take a ride up there. They're open.
Yep.
From the article, they're willing to see people. They're willing to take people in. Go look at their stuff.
Say so. Yep.
Go flex. Like, if you're one of those West Coast people, start hosting a Cars and Coffee there.
Yeah,
like,
good call.
If I was out there, I'd be doing that because they got their shit together. Like, honestly, like, they get a gold medal from me. I'm not even anywhere out there.
2 gold stars.
Seriously, like, I wish more people were like that. Because, like, there's so many people so worried about selling all the new shit. But, like, honestly, like, all the people that come in, they're just, like, washboard people. They're just, like, black and white. They don't get it. Like, they don't understand. And, like, they're just turning numbers over.
That helps you with marketing, just in general, with something like that. Like, hey, when I make you understand something, then you're like, okay, that's why I want to go back to this.
And it probably already puts you in, like, and I don't know this part, like, I'm just guessing. It probably puts you in better standing of, like, potentially being a Porsche Classic dealership as well.
Yeah, it's a good possibility.
I mean, I don't know this, but I'm just guessing, like, if you already have that and you're spending your own dollars to move that way.
They already are, at least moving that direction. That would make more sense.
I mean, I wish we had more of that around here where the people appreciated the, like, we know people that own dealerships are like, oh, yeah, that's badass, that's this. It's like, but you don't have any of that on display. Like, all you're doing is turning over inventory. Like, you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, this place gives a shit. Like, Porsche Santa Clarita gives a shit. Kudos to them, and I feel like they're worth this segment of us talking about this because they've taken the time to, like, go that. And then also, like, it's a super sexy flex, right? Like, if you own the dealership, or even if you're a GM there, or even if you work there, how sexy is that to say, like, oh, you want to see something sick? You just bought a 992? I got something for you. Let me take you on a history tour. You got 15 minutes? Let me show you some badass shit. Take the little ride downstairs and you start to show them some stuff. And you're like, oh my God. And you're like, oh my God is right. Like, you just bought the powder puff, my friend. Like, you want to buy some badass shit? Holler at me later. We can get you in the classic area. Like, that's a flex, man. That's a really cool flex. And, like, there's not a lot of dealerships flexing like that.
Yep. It's got to be a specialty thing before I start seeing stuff like that.
And so they're really invested in that. And like, total disclaimer, like, maybe they have horrible customer service. I've never bought a car from them. I'm not saying that, but the fact that they even have this available puts them above and beyond a lot of places, in my personal opinion. I don't care if you go in there and the guy's like serving, like hand feeding you a macchiato. I don't care if he's like carrying you around the dealership. Yeah. I don't care. Like, the fact that they have this flexes on almost everyone else.
But this speaks to everybody else to get in line.
Because they took you know what it really boils down to is they took the time to think that out.
Yeah. It's a good strategy.
So it shows you that there's enthusiasts there.
Because they're looking for long-term buyers and then to buy into what they're seeing.
Yeah. It shows that they give a shit, is, in my personal opinion. Yeah. That's what it shows me. That they care. Like, so if I lived out there, like, I'd prefer to buy a car there because I'm like, these guys get it. Yeah. They get it. Like, they're not just trying to, like, oh, well, I got an allocation and, like, you know, we sell tons of Taycans and brand new freaking Cayennes and all this other shit. And, like, yeah, that's fucking great. Great. Where's all the vintage cool shit?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have any of that. Holler at me later. Because that's just a plane right away. Like, especially the way the digital market goes. That's just typing on the computer. Yep. Hey, man, I like what you guys do there. I want to fly out. I want to tour the place. Like,
I like what you're doing there.
Yeah. I want to buy a GT3 from you instead of this place. I mean, that's what sets them apart in this industry.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, oh yeah, this is really pretty and you got really nice neon lights and awesome that you have bananas and granola bars in the snack area.
It just shows you that they're paying attention. That's what it shows you.
Yeah, and I think anybody who listens to us, including ourselves, like, we want to deal with other enthusiasts. Whether that may be bullshit or not, somebody there, whether that be one person and it just resonates.
Somebody has to care somewhere because that stuff exists.
Because that costs money to make that happen.
Yeah, and we've both been involved in stuff like that where we're like, oh, hey, that's on the wall. Oh, what's that from? Okay, well, that's from a museum.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay, I didn't know that. Well, that's because you just don't know.
Exactly. 100%. I totally agree with that. All right. That's all we have. We want to thank you guys so much for listening to us. It really means a lot to us. In over 80 countries plus. Keep spreading the word for us. We really, really appreciate it. Aaron and I, like, grind as much as, like, we seem like we F around a lot, but we do like making it professional. We have show notes. We appreciate everything you guys are doing. Please spread the word to your friends. Yep. I know not everyone is a podcast person. However,
they might be a YouTube person.
I think they would enjoy this show. So go ahead and spread the word, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCar Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCar Talk or online at PCarTalk.com.